Hi everyone and welcome along. So I've been getting back to doing some in-person workshops recently and it's been so fun being in the room with you all and teaching together, and the brilliant thing about that is new sort of techniques and alternative methods come up, and we found something so simple and so amazing to transform your loose watercolour flowers from weird spidery blobs into beautiful, languid, loose, beautiful flowers. And I'm going to tell you about it today. And today's video is sponsored by Craftsy, and I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about them too. So grab your paints and let's get started. Okay, so to have a go at this technique, you need any size bit of watercolour paper will do, and a sort of large to medium size brush. I've got a size 8 here, and I'll get a 6 and I get a 4. So whilst I just wake up some of my colours, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Craftsy, because it is your online resource for all things creative. An online community for creative makers where millions of crafters, makers and like-minded enthusiasts find creative inspiration, advance their skills and learn new ones along the way. So there are more than 2,000 exciting classes in over 20 popular categories like crochet, knitting, painting, photography, cake decorating, biscuits, that's the one I'm interested in, so sugar cookies and iced biscuits, woodworking and loads more. Over the years I've chatted about how I lack skills in the baking department, so I've been really enjoying particular classes like Better Basics for Exceptional Cookies by Stephanie Capel. But when it comes to painting, if you love watercolour, then I know you would enjoy trying maybe something like acrylics or gouache, just like different versions of what we love to do on here. And I really rate the class Acrylic Landscapes Close to Home by Susan Stillman. I love the classes because they include step-by-step instructions plus helpful downloadable resources to make learning easy, and I know some of you love a download. And you learn directly from the experts with classes taught by experienced, award-winning instructors who share their professional techniques that will take your skills to the next level. And the classes are short and broken down into manageable steps for any skill level. So members can find everything they need at Craftsy. And Craftsy is always creating new classes to keep you coming back for more, to help you stay inspired. So if you're thinking of joining, I have a brilliant offer for my users. And here it is. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description below will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. That's pretty good, isn't it? So if you love the sound of that, then don't delay. Click the link below, be the first 1,000 to do it, and you'll get that full year of premium membership for $1.49. Okay, I have woken up my paints and it's time to get started. Right, so let's get going with some flowers. I'm going to begin by just being really annoying and painting a loose watercolour flower with no guidance, no guidelines, but I want to show you what we're aiming for, what we're trying to achieve. So I've got some permanent rose here, and I love yellow ochre with permanent rose, so we'll mix up some of that as well. Okay, so loose watercolour flowers. Oh, how lovely. I'll start over this side. So essentially what we're sort of creating is one of those lovely sort of loose and languid flowers with petals that are just sort of flopping about all over the place, and it's loose but it's also just really nice and sort of clearly defined, and I find a lot of people really struggle with getting it just right. And if we create a little dark centre for it, I just get some Moonglow burnt sienna mix up there, and I'll get a size 2 brush. So I'm sort of purposefully letting that just sit on the page and dry a tiny bit, and then I quite like to just sort of get in there with a little bit of something. Okay, and even maybe a nice stem. Okay, so when I'm teaching watercolour flowers like this, what I will always do is I will suggest to you that we do a stem and a circle or an oval depending on the angle of the flower, which defines that central middle, but I tend to sort of do a little bit of a continual line to help you see where the sort of flower is going, especially if you had something like a tulip where the petals angle upwards. You want a bit of extra help to know what's going on here. Well, this is fine as long as you feel confident with painting petals. So for me, I'd start by painting in petals that are angling sort of down from the center, and I use that center as a helpful anchoring point. That's what it's all about, because you need that for when you're painting flowers. However, a lot of people, and particularly in the class I was teaching the other day, we had a bit of a disconnect with how we make these petals, even if we've anchored them, how to make them feel like they're right, how to make them feel like they're part of that flower. People were just sort of going, I'm just painting weird spiders, I'm not sure about this, I don't feel like I'm getting it right. And so I had to think about what on earth I could do to help what I think is a very sort of good basic structure. And I have always been about not doing too much pencil drawing. So again, I can use that pencil circle to just get my middle of my flower sorted. So what do I do? Well, I came up with a very wonderful sort of suggestions from some of my students on the class. So we've got our curve for the stem, we've got our pencil circle middle. But from here, because I kept saying, oh well, you just want to sort of focus in on that central point and just imagine you're fanning out the petals. And I suddenly thought, hang on a sec, what if we just gave ourselves a little bit of an extra helping hand by essentially drawing just the central line of the key petals. By creating that sort of umbrella, suddenly the people who struggled to create these lovely loose flowers were so much happier. So, because this is how I teach leaves, we have a central line and it helps us direct the angle of the shape. So if you struggle to know how to place in petals and you want to learn loose watercolour flowers, but you're like, everything I do just turns into a bit of a mess, then this is for you. And of course, this brings up the age-old question of, can you rub out pencil after you've painted over the top of it? How lovely does that look, by the way? We'll get a little bit of pink in there. Can you rub out pencil once it's dried? Well, for me, the answer is yes, as long as you have got an HB pencil and you've done a few other things. First off, what I recommend is once you've drawn your pencil outline, you actually, I'll just paint in my green stem, one sec. There we go. I'll just give it a little moment before we put the black in, or the darkness in. And what you need, once you've drawn your pencil, is two methods of how to rub it out. I've got a kneadable eraser here, and I've got a hard eraser here. And what I do is I draw my pencil flower in, I then rub it out to be as faint and as light as possible, and then I paint over it. And then once I've done the basic wash, so this kind of layer, just a single layer of paint, and I've got everything coloured in that I need, I can then rub out the pencil with a hard eraser. And for me, in my experience, it doesn't ruin the paper, it doesn't take off the paint. Now that is because I make sure I'm using the top quality paper and paint that I can afford. The paper is my brand that I actually sell in my shop, my Etsy shop, and it's back in stock, which is great news. It is available in my Etsy and website shop, and it is a 100% cotton, acid-free, cold-pressed 300 GSM paper. And then the paints I always use the artist quality or professional quality. I've got a mixture of Winsor & Newton, Dale Rowney and Daniel Smith in here. And with that winning combination, I find that the rubbing out of the pencil works really well. So we have got a special video dedicated to that very topic. There we go. So I'm going to let that dry 100% and then we will try giving it a rub out and see what happens. Right, so I've got my hard eraser. And look at that. The pencil's disappeared. I'm not even rubbing very hard. Some bits will come away more easily than others, but I find after a few goes, you can get rid of most of it just using a hard eraser. And then what I like to do after that is then start using these as bases for lovely extra little bits of colour. And so that's my another tip, is that once you've rubbed out that pencil, and even if you've got tiny bits sort of still lurking there, you're going to probably be painting extra layers over the top, so you can always conceal things like that. And so that is my helpful tip with painting loose watercolour flowers, going into the structure, doing your umbrella of lines, and just giving yourself that extra help to give yourself a bit more structure and scaffolding of the flower. So remember to follow, subscribe, like and comment for more tutorials just like these, and I will see you again next time. And I just want to say thank you once again to our sponsors Craftsy. Don't forget about that wonderful deal in the episode notes below. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. See you next time. Bye!